Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities there may be today. You're going to see my strategy and my analysis, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. Okay, so welcome to October. We're here on the daily chart. What's the daily chart showing us? Well, yesterday we closed out as another bearish doji, a lot more of a high test, right? So if we're looking at yesterday's candle, how it formed, we swept that buy side liquidity from the previous daily high, which obviously drove price lower, and we closed out bearish. Okay, so going into today, we seem to have bearish momentum again this morning. I believe we have just taken out today's previous daily low. So it seems we've just gone through the previous daily low. So we have some momentum there, but we'll see if that previous daily low sell side liquidity causes any type of pullback, right? So we'll need to see the lower time frame structure as well. So just to comment on this previous price action, how these candles are forming, you can see it's having a lot of trouble with direction, right? A lot of consolidation here, refusing to make a higher high. We swept that buy side liquidity obviously and stuck around this area. Now it does appear like we may have some sort of bearish move from here. We're waiting for price to shake itself out of this consolidation here, right, to expand in either direction. We manipulated some buy side liquidity yesterday, so it may be choosing now to go bearish, right, where we've been waiting for price to expand out of this area for quite a few days now, as you can see from the price action. Now if we head lower, our first immediate area of support may be towards here, and then we obviously have a discount in this direction. If we look at DXY, alright, it's the same. You can see we found a sort of support as we found resistance up here. Price was consolidating out of this area, and now we may be looking to expand to the upside. Alright, we did leave behind an imbalance and order block more towards the premium here above these highs, but that could be far into the future. Of course, we'll have news this week. It's a new month, so it should be an NFP week on Friday. So we'll see where price goes. Either way, we may be breaking out of our consolidation as possible resistance, possible support. So let's go down to the 4 hour. We'll see what the lower time frame structures look like. So onto the 4 hour now. What we can see is that we were initially making this higher high, higher low. We failed to make the higher high, right? So we failed to continue that bullish structure above this high. Now on the 4 hour, the leg is still pretty much from this low to this high, so we're still internal to that leg, and we have now pulled back down to what would be an order block with imbalance. So we'll see if we find any support there. However, things are starting to show signs of obviously a bearish turn, a bearish sort of structural turn, because we have these lows, these internal lows here, and we now look to be making a lower low. So it's not set in stone at the moment. We do still have some possible support here. We've taken out the liquidity below these lows and now this previous daily low. So we may see some initial pullback, maybe up until this imbalance here, to see if that strikes as resistance before continuing lower. We'll see. There is quite a lot of bearish momentum at the moment, and we do seem to be making a lower low. Now we had SMC divergence here at this high. Right, so that was our early indicator of a bearish price action, of weakness in EU. So when we made this higher high here on EU, from this high to this high, we made a higher low over here on DXY. So we had a low with a higher low. So DXY did not make a lower low, so it broke the correlation, which is divergence, right, indicating strength on DXY. And we can see that strength has played out and is continuing to play out. This isn't live. The candle is probably a bit more up here above the previous daily high. So that was our early indicator with that SMC divergence. We've taken that sell side liquidity and we'll see what price does with that. Right, so early signs of structure shifting to go bearish again. We had our more complex structure involved in the middle here, and then still failed to go on and make this higher high, even though it initially looked like we were going to continue and take out that previous weekly high. Now, as before, we have sell side liquidity below all of these lows, leading down to an imbalance down here. So now if structure and price chooses to go bearish, these will be our liquidity targets below these lows, right, into this zone here. So the key things that I'm going to keep my eye on are the possible support here right? Now we've taken fresh sell side liquidity for today, and we have our imbalance above, which price may be drawn to, right, to more of a premium, because we are in a discount now, right? So selling from a discount is always a bit risky, especially now we've taken sell side liquidity and we have support. However, there are some signs of a trend change, right? So we may continue short, but the best shorts I'll be looking for will probably be up here towards this premium, maybe inside this imbalance. So let's go down to the 1 hour. We'll see what that time frame is saying and what bias we may have for today. So here now on the 1 hour, what do we have? Well, we still have our external leg, in my opinion, right, from this low here, which created that new high. We initially pulled back to that discount and we drove up 3 times, right? We looked like now we was going to continue with these internal, right, because they're internal to this leg. These internal drives here look like we was going to continue to drive up and take out maybe our previous weekly high, creating a higher high, right, and possibly moving towards this area here. Now, as you can see, we took out that previous day high there, and then price has now broken down, actually creating lower lows. At the high here, SMC divergence was introduced into the market as an early sign of weakness and bearish behavior on EU. So we took the buy side liquidity here, created a higher high. However, DXY, our inverse, failed to create a lower low and created a higher low. So now with that correlation broken, right, that signifies strength on DXY, and obviously that strength is playing out now, creating that higher high above this high and lower low below these lows here. So, however, we have the momentum to the downside. We are now in a discount. We have now mitigated again today. We did yesterday, but now again today, further mitigation of this 1 hour order block here, with all of this sell side liquidity now mitigated as well from previous daily lows and old lows. Also, more SMC has come into the market as possible early signs of dollar weakness and euro strength, right? Because now we have taken sell side liquidity, making a lower low here on EU, while making a lower high here on DXY from this high to this lower high. Now that may or may not stay intact. We are quite near this high, so it wouldn't take much for price to come and break that. However, at the moment, those signs are there, right? And with all this sell side liquidity, it may cause some sort of bullish drive towards a premium here. So we have a premium POI up here. We also have some POIs here as well, which may show some sort of resistance. Now my preference for, say, sells, if we are to continue this breakdown and possible new structural trend of going bearish, would be up here, right? This is kind of in the middle of price in the equilibrium, though it may still show as resistance, right? But I prefer to buy from a discount, right? So even though today we have this bearish momentum, my bias is kind of leaning towards buys because of those confluences I mentioned with the divergence, 1 hour POI and sell side liquidity, at least so far today, because we've also taken buy side liquidity from DXY. So that may drive price down to look for a sell side liquidity POI, right? Even if it's before continuing, as I said, that bearish move. We'll see how these candles close out. Obviously that theory will look much better if this closes out as a lower time frame sweep, and then we'll wait for confirmations on the lower time frame M15, M5 for that order flow to come into the market, because currently order flow is still bearish, right? So we don't always have to trade all of our narratives and against the momentum. However, I'm just using the confluences to form an idea and a narrative for at least the London trade session. So I hope you understand those points there and those reasons. Any questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. Let's go down to the M15 and see what some opportunities for this morning may look like. So here on the M15, with its current state of price action, seeing buys would be very difficult, like because we have broken down with quite some momentum, left behind an M15 order block here with imbalance. So I understand how this wouldn't look probable for buys at the moment, okay? Bear with me. I've marked in the 1 hour order block here above price as well, just to be aware of as a possible resistance. I don't want to ignore it. It's an M15 order block as well, I guess. So this morning we can see where price swept internally above its high here in Asia and eventually broke down, even though that momentum came in during the London session. we've now made internal lower lows, right? Break a structure. However, higher time frame, as I said, we have our 1 hour POI, our SMC divergence. Okay, so we would be shorting against those if we sell from here. So if there were sales from this area or to continue sales, I would be looking for some continuations of order flow. If this area holds and we do break down again, then maybe it's something I could look into. But for the moment, in this discount with all these confluences, until those are taken out of the equation, I'd be looking for longs, right? You can maybe find shorts in this area again, but preferably for me up in this area if we come to it. Right, this area just may prove some sort of resistance for a short while. We'll see what happens. So what I would like to see is price form some sort of support down in this area. It may or may not sweep its internal lows for sell side liquidity, right? And then we get some break above our internal high here, right? Then we can get our pullback towards our order block, which we left behind, where we got momentum from, hopefully some momentum kind of like this candle here to show the market's intention, breaking above its high, and then we can aim towards a premium. So something along these lines where we have our inducement above our order block, right, that we left behind with an imbalance. Okay, so we could possibly again have an internal sell side liquidity sweep, maybe or maybe not. It's not important because we've come from a 1 hour POI anyway. We've already taken sell side liquidity from the previous daily low and we have our divergence. We would then break structure hopefully very strongly, have our inducement above our order block here, and then we would have our order to buy to set towards the premium, right? For my strategy it would be 3%, and this is something that I would be looking at for the longs. Now there's no telling where this is going to happen. Obviously we may form some sort of structure a bit higher up here, right? But anything that looks like this, there may be a couple highs here, then we break above, or whatever that's going to look like. So we will have our negatives for any scenario, whether that's shorting or longing here, right? We don't have to always trade our narratives, right? This is the narrative I'm reading from, possibly from price and its confluences. If this doesn't look probable, I won't trade it. I don't have to trade every idea that comes our way, but this is me using the confluences, the discount, and trading with my higher time frame narrative. I'd then be looking for shorts later on from another higher time frame POI. So I hope you gained value from that. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.